Good morning, Rotarians and guests.
Good morning, Ron.
Ron Strobel, the Sergeant at Arms. Our invocation this morning is by Liz Ramsey.
Good morning, Rotarians. Let's pray. Our magnificent, almighty, powerful, awesome God, we come praying to you in the name of Jesus Christ, and thank you that Jesus took all our sins to the cross. We pray for your protection for us and for our families and for the service people in the military. And we pray that the leaders of our country will make good decisions and remember that our country was based on Christian morality. We pray that God will have mercy on our country when wrong decisions are glorified, and ask that God will keep his divine wrath away from us. Help us to stay on the path that leads to life and press on toward the goal for the prize of the upward call of God. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Liz. And now to lead us in the pledge and the four-way test so that he can hurry up and get rid of his red badge, Peter Goheen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Four-way test. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you, Peter. And now to lead us in song, Dick Pearsall.
Now, I say a dollar is short and a day late, but the baseball game was played last night, but we're still going to sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game. I just thought it would be good. Take me out to the ball game, take me out with the crowd, buy me some peanuts and cracker jacks. I don't care if I ever get back, so it's root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame, for it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out of the old ball game. The American League did it, I guess.
And now, our president, Joe Avella.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Peter, and Dick, and Liz for that. Good morning. Good morning. We have another good meeting for you this morning. I'd like to call on our esteemed Secretary, Chris Barker, to introduce our guests.
Good morning, Rotarians. We have one guest with us today, and if Joe Avella would please make the introduction. Thank you.
What would you? I'd like to introduce to you Lori Stoddard. Lori is a Hudson resident. Recently, after her 3 boys either got out of college or into college, she went back to school, reinvented herself, and has a master's in accounting, and just recently received her certified public accounting license. And she's in transition between accounting firms. So let's welcome Lori. Thank you.
Good morning.
Okay, Bob Krampf has a sign-up sheet going around for Art on the Green, and that is, did you want to say something?
Sure. Just sell something here. Every good sign-up last week. We got almost all the spots filled. But the best spot is nobody signed up for, and that's Sunday 2:30 to 4:30. So that's a real good one. That's a lot of fun going on at that time, a lot of activity. So put you down? Okay. So let me just pass this around one more time, see what happens, and we'll maybe filled by the end of the day. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Bob. I think that spot, that last slot, that's a where you can have some of the leftovers. I think that's a good. So we have it's summertime. We have a Rotary picnic, family picnic coming up, and I'd like to bring up Gail or Tom to talk about that picnic.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning, Rotarians. Okay, you have a flyer on your table, and it's for our annual family picnic, which will be Sunday, August 2nd. Cascade Park, who knows where Cascade Park is? Yes, yes, yes. And we're going to have a scavenger. Okay, it's off East and West Case Drive, a little street called Lynn. You turn in there, so it's from the Acme Plaza, it's at least a 2-minute walk. Anyway, so we're going to have a scavenger hunt. There's some beautiful trails there. There's a little waterfall. And we've come up with a lot of little treasures you can pick up during the scavenger hunt, and there will be prizes for that. We are also, of course, going to have picnic food, and we might have some extra games for those who choose not to do the scavenger hunt. And then we're going to top it off with IC Ice Cream Truck, ISEE, which is Pete Schmid, who is a very dear friend of mine, who owns Clear Vision Centers in Streetsboro, and he recently opened one, took over one here in Hudson. But he's got this ice cream truck that it's his way of giving back to the community. So it's free ice cream for anyone, and there'll be a little bucket there for donations. If anyone wants to make donations, they can, and that all goes to charity. So we're going to designate a specific charity for that. Maybe the dictionaries or something like that we have been trying to raise money for, kids' dictionaries. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and the sign-up sheet, where is it right now? Sign-up sheet for, it's back yonder with John. So keep it rolling, and we're going to have a lot of fun with it. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Gail. A couple of other upcoming events. Don't forget the Bridgestone Invitational, August 3rd to August 9th. Now, you can see the website where there's a flyer out there. We are selling tickets through a website called Tickets for Charity. And a portion of every ticket that you sell comes back to the club, back to our foundation. So please encourage your friends to purchase tickets. Also, August the 7th, Friday night, the District End Polio Now event at the Cleveland Indians. I went last year. It's a great event. It's usually a sellout. It includes dinner at the Terrace Club, plus box seats. There's a number of different there's a wide price range of tickets. So again, you can see our website, and there's flyers out on the front desk, and I encourage you to sign up for that. I'd like to call on Evan McCauley. Evan is our recently appointed Rotary Information Chair.
Thank you, Joe. Good morning, fellow Rotarians. Good morning, Evan. So Rotary Information is a committee with the goal of educating you, equipping you with everything that you need as a Rotarian, and hopefully engaging you. And the way that we're going to do that is get a group of volunteers to speak on certain topics, give informative presentations, to keep you engaged. And so today, Dick, I've got a question for you. Do you know who Harry Ruggles is? Okay, so maybe, I'm not sure on that. But Harry Ruggles, he was the 5th Rotarian back in 1905 to have conversations about the Rotary Club with Paul Harris. And back at one of those first fledgling meetings that they were having, this gentleman, Harry Ruggles, who was quite a songmeister. He was always running around singing. He was very jubilant. So at one of these first fledgling meetings, he jumps up on the chair and he starts singing. And ever since then, it has become a tradition at Rotary across the world that we join in song at the beginning of the meetings. I was thinking about it, but you know, the microphone wouldn't follow me, so that's why I decided against it, Catherine. But anyways, thank you very much for what you do, getting up here and singing and engaging all of us. It's a great way for us to bond, and thank you very much for what you do there. So Rotary International also has some other resources for you to stay engaged, to keep us part of the community. And those little yellow cards that I passed around, they have the websites that you should be on, that you should be logged into, that you should be looking at. And for example, the My Rotary website, you can go on there, create a profile. You can connect with people all across the world and exchange ideas, get to know somebody new. You can stay up to date with any events or scheduling or news that's going on in Rotary International. And I challenge you to go onto all of those websites, get involved, write your password down on the back. I put a spot for that. Basically, just utilize what is provided for you to get the most out of Rotary that you can. And if anyone has any ideas or topics that they would like to share, please let me know. And last educational piece. So on that card is the Rotary Wheel. The Rotary Wheel was implemented in 1923. And it stands for civilization and movement. And so in 1923, when this logo was implemented across the world, a group of engineers looked at it and they said, you know what? This wheel isn't going to work. So what they did is, at that time, they put the keyhole in the middle because the keyhole is needed for a gear shaft to make the wheel turn. So just a couple fun facts, and please let me know if you're interested in being a part of Rotary Information. Thanks, guys and gals.
Okay, thank you, Evan.
I think Dick was there when Ruggles was inducted.
Okay. Okay. If there are no further, any other announcements for today? Okay, if there are none, yes, Craig. Yes, I was going to mention that, but I will mention it now. We do have a foundation meeting following this meeting at 8:30. Everyone is welcome to attend as an observer or as a guest. We have a new location for that meeting. It is in the Greenwood Private Dining Room here at Laurel Lake. And so if you're going to that, go all the way down this hallway. There's a little store there. You make that little dog leg to the left, and then you keep going down to the next major intersection, and then make a left-hand turn. And it's not easy. Larry set it up, so Larry will be out there giving you directions if you get lost. I'd like to call on George Snyder, who will introduce our guests for this morning, or our speakers. Thanks, George.
Good morning, Rotarians. Good morning. If you saw the morning beacon, you read on the front page that Hudson is the spot for pot. And not quite yet, and I'm not going to get into that debate this morning, but we are going to talk about some other kinds of homegrown stuff. Well done. Specifically, our speakers today will give you a behind-the-scenes look at the Hudson Farmers Market, which is currently in its 9th season on the Village Green. Started in 2007 as a project of Leadership Hudson, the market is now an independent 501c3 nonprofit organization which has over 40 vendors who sell homegrown and home-produced goods at the center of town each Saturday morning from June through October. Joining us are Farmers Market board members Kevin Altamari and Diane Kettler. Kevin, better known as Chef Kevin, and his brother JJ are 2005 graduates of the Culinary Institute of America. Along with their father, John, they are known locally as the Three Foodies, operating Hudson's Restaurant and since April, the Beachcomber Food Truck, which now is offering coastal cuisine throughout Northeast Ohio. Kevin previously interned at the Orlando Ritz-Carlton and worked under famed chef Paul Prudhomme at K. Paul's in New Orleans. And I have to say especially how thankful we are to Kevin and to Hudson's restaurant for providing all of the hot cocoa that we give out at Santa on the Green. So thank you, Kevin, for that. With him this morning is Diane Kettler, who joined the board of the Farmers Market in 2013 and manages both its website and all of its social media outlets. A Hudson native, Diane is a freelance grant writer for arts and culture organizations. She worked previously for Stan Hewitt Hall and Gardens and for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Museum. I think you're in for a tasty treat this morning, so please give a warm Rotary welcome to Kevin Altamari and Diane Kettler.
Good morning. Good morning. I want to start out by giving you all a brief history of the Hudson Farmers Market. The Farmers Market was founded in the summer of 2007. It was a project of Leadership Hudson, as well as some community volunteers that had been trying to get a farmers market started. So it kind of meshed together, and the Leadership Hudson group had actually gone to the city and said, we want to start a farmers market, and they said, well, there's a couple gals that have been trying to start a farmers market as well. So they kind of joined forces and made it happen, and 9 years later, it's still going strong. In 2015, so actually I believe we received it in February of this year, we received our own 501c3 status, which was kind of an interesting venture. Everybody that we talked to kept telling us how difficult it was and how hard it was, and we literally had it in about 3 weeks. So it was, we were all like, wait, is this real? We got the letter in the mail, and I was like, I think we got our status, and so it was a good thing. Last year we received a 2-year sponsorship from the Hudson Montessori School. And so it covered 2014 and then also 2015, and that's been a great partnership, and we've been able to do a lot with them and bring their students that actually make jams and preserves and stuff into the market, and help them sell their product and show them that side of the business. This year we've got over 35 vendors, and George had actually made a comment to me this morning that it seemed like we had a few less produce vendors this year. There are a few produce vendors that have been kind of long-time vendors of the market that have, for one reason or another, fallen out of the market, but we've tried to replace those ones with some other great vendors. All of the starred vendors on this list here are all brand new vendors for this market season in 2015. In addition to the 35 vendors that we have, we also have a couple rotating vendor spots. One is the Hudson Montessori School, and the other one is the Young Entrepreneur Institute, that they've been coming to the market and selling their products. Our current market manager is Audrey Hilton. This is her 3rd season as the market manager. She's a longtime Hudson resident as well. She was actually in Leadership Hudson. She graduated with the class, I forget exactly what year it was, but with the class that put on Screen on the Green. And her background is actually communications and food service, so kind of put a nice fit into the market manager position. I'm going to let Diane talk about the schedule.
No, that's fine. Okay, this year we are going. We opened on June 6th. That was our first day. And we're going through October 10th. Every Saturday, 9 to 12:30, we're out there, rain or shine. Mostly rain. But you know what? Our customers and our vendors are troopers. They have been out there with their umbrellas, so thank you. We have a whole bunch of special events throughout the course of the summer. Community Day already happened, which was fabulous. We had all kinds of representatives from different local groups on the green with us, and also some city departments. It was great. Kids Day was just this past Saturday, which was also great. Tons of kids everywhere. Bike Day is August 8th, and that's the day we encourage everyone to ride their bikes to the market. Lots of people do that anyway, but that's an especially fun one. Tomato Festival, August 22nd. That's an annual event. Our vendors, we have a competition among our vendors who grow tomatoes, independently judged by some community experts as to which is the best. And then we also have a homegrown contest. So if you are a home grower of tomatoes and you have a plant that is thriving, unlike me, because of this rain, and you want to bring in your best specimen, we also have a contest for home growers. Wellness Day is August 29th, and that's just a day devoted to, health, wellness, yoga, goodness. And the Harvest Festival is the last day of the market, and we always have some fun kids activities that day. And a lot of our vendors grow wonderful varieties of gourds and pumpkins, and it's beautiful. So make sure you join us every Saturday, but those are some special days we've got going. This one? Okay. Maybe. Okay, and some of the things we're focusing on in 2015 is to build on the successes that we have enjoyed thus far by working with others in the community. For example, this year we have every Saturday, the Learned Owl is doing story time on the green for the kids, so they're there. And if it's raining, they move the story time into their shop. But they're there every week, so that's been a fun adventure for us. And of course, Kevin mentioned the Hudson Montessori School kids. Their middle school has an entrepreneurship group, and they do they make jams and also all kinds of different products that they sell under the name of North House Specialties. So they're there a couple times during the season. And the Young E Institute is a program of University Schools Entrepreneur Institute, and it's a consortium of different schools that come and sell things at our market. So we've provided a venue space for them. So these kinds of things allow us to strengthen our ties with the community, and we're also focused a lot on online social media, getting the word out for our events and what's going on through those channels. We also see it as our job to help our vendors make money, so we try to promote their goods, and if we know that they're going to have something special at the market, we try to get the word out so everybody knows, come and pick up your blueberries or whatever might be coming that week. And we also are working with other groups. Destination Hudson and the Fire Museum and the new Town Hall have been a great partner. They are actually allowing our vendors and customers to use the restrooms in the old Town Hall on Saturday, which is fabulous. And we are also working with the Flea that is taking place in Evaporator Works every month. And they are giving us some space to sell some of our posters and bags, and we are trying to promote their events as much as possible. So we're building some good ties in the community, which is great. And then, of course, as a new nonprofit, as our own nonprofit, we're also looking to raise some money ourselves. So we're looking into lots of different opportunities for that. We're also looking at doing an indoor market after the season closes this year. We're trying to determine the feasibility with our vendors, if they're going to have product, if they're going to be able to participate in that. So that's an ongoing discussion. Hopefully it will happen. New this year also is that we take credit cards. Kevin has been a champion in that regard. We are official. We have an iPad. We have the Square. We can accept credit card payments for our own poster sales, and also if somebody wants to buy something from a vendor and a vendor doesn't accept the Square, we can take that payment for them and pay the vendor in cash. So that's been great. And I keep mentioning the poster. I think it's on the next. There it is. That's this year's poster. Each year we have a designer whose name is Andy Teray. His company is called Ohio Boy, and he does the design for us every year. So that's our wheelbarrow for this year. And you can see we are now selling also new bags at the market. They're insulated, they zip, so it's a great way if you're buying eggs or meat or whatever to keep it cool till you get it home. And the design on that one is actually last year's poster, which won a national competition through the Farmers Market Coalition. Of all of the 360 or so, I think, posters submitted, that ours was judged to be the best, so we were pretty excited about that. And then we're also looking into some grant opportunities, as I mentioned. We currently have a proposal pending that we hope will come through with a, actually sponsored by Chipotle program with the Farmers Market Coalition that's called the Power of Produce, that will give the market some cash and some supplies to help kids learn how to shop and make decisions for buying good and local foods. Kids would get tokens from us. They would be able to go to the vendors, make their decisions with their parents about what they wanted to buy that week, and pay with their tokens. And then, of course, the vendors would bring the token to us and we would pay them cash. So it's a good way to get children involved with making decisions about healthy food for their families. And then we mentioned our online presence. Our website is at the top there, hudsonfarmersmarket.org. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Periscope, and you can see all of our handles there. And then I put the hashtag at the bottom. We're playing with that. It was actually Kevin's wife, Kendra, her idea. She's good at this. She's very good at this stuff. So if you're at the market and you take a picture or you cook something particularly wonderful with stuff you got at the market, if you're online, go ahead and tag your picture or your message or whatever with the hashtag HFMNow so we can see it and we can see what everybody's doing. So, and if you personally or your business are online and want to interact with us, please follow us, send us a message, so you can see what we're doing and share in the bounty of everything at the market. Want to do this? Sure. Kevin will do this one.
So just to kind of introduce the rest of the board to you, Michelle Lazor is our president. She's the director of admissions for Hudson Montessori School. I somehow got both titles of vice president and treasurer. I signed up for treasurer and somehow fell into the other one as well.
We look to his leadership.
So, Diane Kettler, obviously here, she handles all of our website and social media stuff as well. Michael Flynn has been a longtime board member and is always there first thing in the morning helping us set up. And Joe is actually a newer resident to Hudson in the last 2 or 3 years, I believe. He moved here from Rhode Island. And basically came to the market and just wanted to help. And so he's actually kind of heads up our vendor. He works with Audrey and stuff on checking out vendors and making sure that they're actually producing their own product, that they're growing their own product, and that this stuff is that there's not too much overlap in the market, but yet that it is homegrown product and they're not purchasing product to resell. And then we have Fred Thaxton and Tracy Garrett. Fred Thaxton is obviously Thaxton's Organic Garlic, which they've got garlic now the last couple weeks. It's always tough the first month of the market. All they have is, if they have anything, they have scapes, but everybody's just dying to get garlic. So he's a vendor liaison for us. So it's a nice addition to have the vendors be able to, they feel a lot more open with talking to another vendor versus necessarily just coming to the board and giving us insight or whatnot. So, and Tracy is also a vendor liaison, and she is with Top Tier Pastry. Does anyone have any questions for us? Yes.
Here you are.
Thank you, sir. A couple of questions. On a nice sunny Saturday morning, which we have once in a while, how many people would come through the farmer's market?
You know, it's something that we have the conversation all the time is how to track that. There's so many different access points into the market that it's hard to get a true number. Over the last couple of years, we've tried to guesstimate how many attendees we actually get on a given Saturday, and I think the numbers have kind of fluctuated between 800 and 1,500, depending on the day and stuff.
The second question is, in choosing or selecting the vendors, what's the vetting process and how do you go about looking for vendors?
As far as looking for vendors, a lot of it is word of mouth with other vendors and farmers markets and stuff. We also put ads out in the hub looking for vendors, and social media.
Social media also asks if there's a category that we're interested in. We tried very hard. Kevin and I took it upon ourselves as a personal mission to get a pickle vendor there this year, which we were able to get somebody in the rotating spot, but we don't have a full-time one yet. But we put the word out through our website and through social media saying, hey, do you make pickles? So, just it's another avenue for us to be in touch with people. So we'll get there. You know any pickle vendors?
I have a question on entertainment. I think it's great that you have the little balloon guy there. What about the other groups that just sort of pop in that have the English guitars and all this kind of stuff? Is that just a casual thing, or do you plan that, or how does that work?
We do plan that, and we ran into some issues with folks not playing original music, the music that they created on their own. I'm sure some of you have heard of ASCAP or BMI, and so the problem is that the fees for ASCAP and BMI for the farmers market is astronomical because they can't, in a restaurant, for instance, they come in, they say, how many seats do you have, and that's how they figure out what your fee is. With the farmers market, it's very liquid. So what we've tried to do is we've tried to keep the musicians and stuff, but we've tried to narrow it down to people that aren't doing cover music, that are actually playing original, kind of original music to shy away from that expense. So we're working on, I know that Audrey was working on getting some more kind of original artists to come out and play. So if you know anybody, definitely direct them our way.
Kevin, Diane, I've often wondered, do you keep any records in terms of gross revenues? I often wondered how much the farmers market is contributing to the local economy.
Let me think about how to put this. I took over the financials back in late last year because the more I kept asking questions of, where's this, or how much is this, and what do we spend on that, and nobody could really tell me. So when we did the switch from Hudson Community Foundation, they had records and they kept their stuff for us, but the market in general didn't have the best set of books on their own. So it's something that we're starting to try to track, and so we've got we actually hired an accountant to audit us and all of that with the 501c3, and so hopefully by the end of the year we'll know more of what our economic impact is and whatnot.
How do you verify that the produce and the products are in fact homemade?
We audit the farms and the growers, so different members of the board will go. Usually it's Audrey, our market manager, and someone else from the board will go with her, often Joe, who we mentioned is the vendor liaison from the board. We'll go and visit, especially if they're new, we'll go out and visit them, see what they're doing, and then a couple of times throughout the year, they will pop in and see what they're doing and making sure everything is coming from their home. And also, when at the beginning of each market season, all the vendors, whether they're old or new, have to fill out an application with us and tell us what exactly they're going to be selling. And if they show up some Saturday with something that's not on that list, yeah, we don't let them sell it. So it's our way of, maintaining the control and making sure that we know that everything is home produced, because certainly our consumers expect that, and we don't want anybody messing with that. So it's a tricky process, and it involves a lot of oversight, but it's important. It's really important for what we do.
Yeah, thanks for being so strict with that.
Yeah.
Another question. I know you guys are doing a lot on social media. What are some things that you're doing that are driving followers or likes? How are you guys doing that?
Well, I took over overdoing it I guess at the beginning of last season, and there just wasn't a whole lot of activity on Facebook for the market, and our Twitter was just tied to Facebook. So whenever Facebook was updated, it just sent a link to Twitter. So they weren't really behaving independently, and they weren't very interactive and conversational with people. So I've just taken it upon myself to really look at what our vendors are doing and saying on social media, sharing that when it's appropriate, so they can get the most exposure that they can. And then also just asking a lot of questions to our customers. What are you cooking? What did you buy last week? Things like that, and it's worked. I mean, we've gotten more than 400 new followers on Facebook in the past year. So, I mean, we're small, so that's a lot for us. So I think just opening up the conversation and sharing as much as we can about what we're doing, and also keeping our event information as up to date as possible. If we've got something coming up, there's Facebook, thank you. If we've got something coming up, a special event, or if we're partnering with someone, or if Learn It Owl's going to be there, or if Eddie's Bike Shop's going to be doing bike tune-ups, just sharing all of that and making sure everybody's tagged so everybody sees it. And it's amazing how supportive other organizations are. Destination Hudson has been great in sharing our stuff. There are lots of other community groups that have picked it up. The Hub is fabulous with retweeting and sharing stuff. So the more you engage and the more you interact, the more it spreads. So I can't say that I've got a strategy that's written down. It's kind of just all coming out of my head, but it's fun. We're having a good time. So
just a couple of comments. You mentioned the Children's Day at the Farmers Market, and in today's Hub there is a front page picture and then several back in there with the article concerning that, so it looked like kids had a lot of fun. And thanks to Kevin and Hudson for providing the hot chocolate for Santa on the Green. For those of you in the Rotary, we'll have sign-ups starting next week.
It's never too early.
Was there any other questions?
Yeah, I just a couple things. One is also hold it closer. Does that work? Okay. One, thanks for what you've done with Hudson's Restaurant. That is a fantastic place. It's
Thank you.
For my family, it's our go-to restaurant.
Thank you.
Also, just a comment, I work for a grocery chain, I won't mention it, but we actually have picked up... Which one? Anyway, my point was that we had actually picked up a couple products from the Hudson Farmers Market that we now carry in our store, throughout our store. So you can tell your vendors that they are able to also showcase their products there. And then finally, in addition to the Montessori school, I'll just throw out there that you might want to take a look at the Hudson Public Schools in terms of some tie-ins and locations.
They actually, absolutely. Just on that note, Betty Banks Burke, who is a teacher in the high school, who does a lot with I'm sure a lot of you know her, do a lot with business education for the kids, her business club. They participate in the market in some way every year. Last year they were out there doing their business challenges, so I'm sure they'll be back this year. That usually happens in the fall. But she's a great partner. And we have had other local, public school events also. Hudson Preschool Parents was there for Kids Day last week, and they're a great partner. And to go to your point about having picked up some goods to sell in your store, thank you. That is another goal of ours, is to promote our vendors' businesses, and to hear that is wonderful. We also try to get their products into local restaurants as well. Kevin uses Thaxton garlic at Hudson's, and we try to do that as much as possible to provide a greater market for our vendors. So, thank you.
I was wondering if you have any vendors that stand out as favorites amongst your customers, and if you could tell us a little bit about them.
You want to take that one? I can tell you my favorites.
Yeah,
Big lines.
it's easy for me to tell you our favorites. The Amish produce vendor, they have a huge following. They really do. It's interesting because people watch, and Diane's always walking the market taking photos of different vendors' products and stuff. And the interesting thing is that, like we have Top Tier Pastry, and we have Trigo Bakery, and we have a handful of other places that do baked goods and stuff. And so it's interesting to watch all of the people come to the market. They come and they buy a pastry, and then you'll see them walking through the market, and they'll be eating, and they kind of do their first swoop through the market, eating their pastry or breakfast or whatnot, and they continue through to make their purchases and stuff. We have a couple unique vendors, like the garlic, like Thaxton's garlic. That's all they sell is garlic, and it's kind of one of those things where I always step back and I'm like, how can you, make enough money to come to the market just selling garlic? But they almost sell out every week, and they bring more the next week, and they just continue to sell more and more. As far as favorite vendors from the customer's point of view,
Ohio City Pasta always sells out.
I was going to say Ohio City Pasta is a huge one that people look for, and they sell, again, they bring more and more every week, and they just continue to sell out. Depending on the time of the year, people are looking for different things. So last year, unfortunately, we weren't able to have peaches at the market. We got a lot of slack as a market for that. But obviously with the freezes and stuff last year, there was no peaches being grown in Northeast Ohio. We had a couple vendors wanting to bring peaches in from down south and stuff, but that kind of goes against our rules for the vendors. So do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, you know what, like on a day like last Saturday that was so busy with the Kids' Day and the weather was gorgeous, I mean, the majority of vendors sold out that day. So that's when we're happiest, when it's the end of the market and nobody has anything left. So, but yeah, I think that probably the most popular, the ones that sell out consistently, are Ohio City Pasta. Thaxton sell a ton. Bluebird Meadows, they do sausage and pork products. They sell out often also. So by the end of the market, he's not sampling anymore because he's got like one package of brats left or something. So there are lots that do well, but those are certainly up there.
For those vendors that do not sell out, do they have another outlet for their products? Do they go to other markets, or?
Some of them do. It's kind of an individual thing. Like I know Tracy at Top Tier Pastry, if she doesn't sell out, she's from Garrettsville. She has a gig set up with another shop in Garrettsville where she'll go and take what's left from her market hall and sell it. Although last week I know she didn't go to that because she sold everything. Some vendors donate some of their goods to the food bank. Yes, are we doing that this year?
Hudson Food Bank? Yeah,
the Hudson Food Bank. If vendors have anything left that they would like to donate, they can certainly do that. So it just depends. It's a completely individual thing whether they pack it up and take it home with them or find something else to do with it.
Yeah. And some of the a couple of the Amish vendors, they'll have an abundance of squash and zucchini, and so if they've got cases of it left over and stuff, they literally walk over to Hudson's and this is what we've got left, or are you interested in it and stuff. So we try to buy some of that surplus and stuff from them as well if they have a slow market week or whatnot. But literally this last week I went to the market late and there was nothing there. I got there, I don't know, probably 11:45, and I'm walking through the market and I'm like, what happened? Which is a good problem. So yes.
Yeah, my question is really twofold. Trying to get an idea about what happens behind the scenes in the off season. So two questions. One, if you described your challenges of getting organized around your finances and so forth, and now you're a 501c3, et cetera. Do you have an idea yet what an operating budget looks like for the farmers market on an annual basis? And can you describe what is going on in the off season? Is there a downtime or is it year-round activity? Can you comment on that a little bit?
Okay, so to answer your first question with the operating budget for the market costs us about $20,000 a year to operate. Now, 14, depending on the year and exactly how many vendors we have, and we have a tiered program on, if they pay by December 31st, they get a huge price break for the following year. If they pay by March 31st or maybe April 1st, I think. Yeah, by the vendor meeting, I think is what it is, they get another price break. And if they pay after that, then they pay, kind of a premium. The vendor fees kind of fluctuate every year depending on how many people pay. This year we had a lot more people pay up front than we did, whereas last year it was almost like everybody paid late. So typically out of that $20,000 operating budget, $14,000 to $16,000 of it is vendor fees. The other $4,000 to $6,000 we rely on poster sales. Hopefully these the farmers market bags that we just did this year, hopefully that'll generate some revenue. And then sponsorships. So like Hudson Montessori is actually, they've sponsored the last 2 years. So that's helped us out, make it all work. Our goal there is to not raise the vendor fees too much. It makes it difficult. One thing that they did have to do this year with the city is the city cracked down and made every single vendor on the green have general liability insurance, whereas in years past, it's always been kind of looked the other way on. So this year, that was an additional expense to all the vendors. A lot of the vendors had it, but there was a handful of vendors that are real small, and those vendors are now incurring that additional cost. So it's made it hard on, there's a gal that sells honey at the market. I think she's in college now. Honey's not something you go to the market and buy every week. So her sales aren't real high. So it was a huge burden. It was a huge expense for her to try to get that general liability insurance. As far as the off season, the market board meets typically at least once a month, year round, and we try to plan and make sure that we're trying to figure out what kind of events we can have and what vendors, we decided this past off season, we kept kind of brainstorming, like, what vendor don't we have that would be unique and different from other farmers markets in the area? And so we had come up with a pickle vendor, and we were looking for another jam and jelly person, because our jam and jelly person from the past, he actually passed away last year. So the off season, we work on our budget for the next year. We work on brainstorming ideas and trying to make the market better. So this off season, we're going to be spending a lot of time figuring out the next couple of years with the new downtown project and stuff, and how that's going to impact the market, and whether we relocate the market or just change the footprint, or how we're, so we're going to be working with the city with that and trying to figure out how we will operate in the next couple of years. So.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Chef Kevin and Diane. That was very informative, very good. And as you know, we are very fortunate in Hudson to have that event every Saturday morning. I know I always go down there, I carry 2 little bags, and I always plan on filling 1, but I always fill 2. So it's a great event. Just some upcoming things. Evan mentioned My Rotary and some of the websites. We're going to be talking about that over the next couple of weeks. Additional, the websites. As a matter of fact, we have a club assembly the last Wednesday of July 29th, and we're going to, Donna Kastner is going to give you a little presentation on the Rotary International My Rotary website and how to log into that. So you'll be getting some more information about that. A little bit about next week's meeting. It's kind of a special meeting here. Jane Howington is coming back. And at this meeting, the City of Hudson has designated our Rotary Club as the event to announce their media campaign for their new broadband initiative, something she talked about briefly a couple of weeks ago. Some of members of Jane's staff will be on hand. The public relations firm Akia in Hudson is handling their media campaign. They will have at least 10 to 12 guests there at that meeting. This could be an opportunity to invite guests to our meeting, especially if you know someone, perhaps a business owner downtown that's in that corridor where the broadband will be opening up. Think about inviting someone that you know that would have an interest in that new broadband initiative. There's more information on our Facebook page, so you could like the Facebook page and send that to your friends about the next week's meeting. And there will be a press release that we've sent, that Jim sent to the hub, and that will be out there soon. So to close this morning, I'd like to thank our greeter, Evan. We only had one today, Evan. That's all we need. Our audio and visual setup crew, Larry Santon, Tom Page, John Hairston, James Field, and tear down Ron Barnhouse. So I mentioned the foundation board meeting. So our next subject will be a Rotabuck. Okay, we've got some big numbers here. The payout today is $21, and the jackpot is up to $565. That's getting up there. It doesn't happen that often. So here are the tickets. I will let Diane pull a ticket here. And the last four numbers are 3997. Gotta be somewhere.
Thank you, Diane.
Okay, Jim. Okay, there's $21. There's the black marble.
Oh yeah.
See it?
Too.
Yeah, too. Not this week. Not this week.
Don't forget $21.
Okay, that concludes our meeting. Have a great day.